Hey guys, and welcome to Tech It or Leave It. I'm your co-host, Lana Makzumi.
And I'm Yusuf.
And this is the world's best and number one podcast in emerging tech and Web3.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? Before we get into today's episode, we just wanted to thank you, the community, for liking, following, subscribing. And if you aren't, be sure to do that to make this community grow more and allow us to get interesting guests like today's guest.
Yeah. Now, on to today's guest. Our guest today, we could spend a full hour just talking about his crazy stories and achievements, and hopefully he'll get into some juicy ones today.
We want him to spill the tea.
Yeah, we want him to spill the tea.
He looks nervous.
All right, I have an intro in here. He's a Londoner who has lived in Hong Kong and now in Dubai. He's a co-founder, a president of a leading payments company who has secured a massive investment from Tether in the last year. Lover of meme coins, non-executive director of Luna Media Corp, where we work. And husband to our beloved CEO, which we'll talk about.
And boss.
Please welcome Mr. Lord, Philip Lord.
Welcome to the show, Philip.
Welcome to the show.
I'm definitely nervous on this one.
Yeah.
I know you look really nervous.
Yeah.
It's so chill. We're just
we're chill.
we're so chill.
Now, I called you Lord.
Yeah.
It's not because you're royalty. That's your actual
Yeah.
name. Like, and I'm sure you get this a lot, but it's like the sickest last name I've ever heard.
By the way, I thought it was fake
Yeah.
when I first met you.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, is his last name actually Lord? And then I was
Yeah.
like, oh, wait, it is.
Yeah. If you do become royalty, you'll become Lord.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's
Maybe
the
my
goal.
sons can take
Yeah.
that one on.
Yeah. So let's start off easy.
Yeah.
Now I did give you an introduction, but
Yeah.
why don't you talk a little bit about yourself? What does Philip Lord? What do you do today?
Today we have a payment company called Oobit, which is Apple Pay for crypto. You simply download the app and then put some crypto on it and go spend it any Visa, MasterCard around the world. It's live in Europe. It'll be live globally another month or two. So we're super excited about rolling it out and making it easier for people to spend crypto.
But I have a question, before we even get into Oobit and stuff, which I think it's super interesting, how did you actually start your crypto journey? Because I know you were in finance before, right? Like traditional finance.
So, I think finance people are very good at thematics. And, the next thematic coming in was crypto in, 2017. Even though we feel like very late to the party, because it had a big rise from, 2009 to 2017. But, I went along to a conference in Hong Kong. I saw all these crazy Chinese people, no females, no sort of... finance bros. It was all people punting crypto, and I was like, what the hell was going on here?
Did you even know what crypto was at that
not
point?
really, no. I mean,
Okay.
I'd missed the boat completely.
Okay,
And
fair.
I think it was around $2,000 Bitcoin then. But it just felt like there was something, a movement, of disruption, and that's what finance is like. You're paid to pick trends, right?
Yeah.
Like AI is a trend now, so it was crypto, the finance guys are making a lot of money out of that. So anyway, I spotted the trend in blockchain, thought this was bigger. Also, I realized the equity markets were short, related products. So I come at it from maybe the wrong perspective of not a crypto perspective, but a stock market perspective, thinking that, equity plays would have to be created. What I didn't realize was, the regulators were quite unfriendly to, putting blockchain companies into equity listed companies. Mm-hmm. So made some money, lost a lot more, and thought it was a complete scam. And then when SBF happened, I thought, this is not going anywhere, but it's going to continue to grow. And basically saw an opportunity to buy a chunk of a company, and got involved in Oobit and saw a problem that I wanted solved, because it's still off-ramping, is still relatively hard. And this was a scalable solution that can solve a global problem. So I jumped on board.
Yeah, no, Oobit is fascinating, and Oobit, congratulations. I know this is a late congratulations, but it secured a huge investment with probably the biggest crypto company in existence, Tether.
So Anatoly from Solana. So
Oh, okay.
we'll take number 2 and 3.
Yeah. But I want to go way back, because you mentioned Hong Kong.
Yeah.
But you're from the UK. You're a Londoner, right? You lived till what age in the UK, and when did you move to Hong Kong? How did you even get to Hong Kong in the first place? Like, how did that look like?
Take us back, Philip.
Yeah, take us back.
Take us back to uni.
We'll get to Oobit. We'll get to today again. Yeah.
So I started finance very early. I didn't go to university, but I had a degenerate amount of hustle. So basically, I knocked on a lot of doors, got a lot of rejections in the city, and handed out my CV about 1,000 places. Eventually, somebody hired me by me sneaking up to NatWest Tower onto the 29th floor and handing in my CV, and they didn't know whether to hire me or call the police. Fortunately, somebody hired me. So I started there at like 20, and then, sort of had a crazy 4 years of, hustle and success there, but then wanted to travel abroad. It was either the US or Asia. As a Brit, we colonized a lot of the world, so it's not very popular to say it now. But like Hong Kong, India, there were always places that you wanted to go. So basically, Hong Kong was very easy. It's like South Kensington on a beach with no tax, and very embracing of young 24-year-old guys. So jumped on a plane there, and 2 weeks later, I had a job.
You snuck up to the NatWest Tower and you said either hire me or call the police?
I did. Yeah. That's what they said to me.
Oh, okay.
But I managed to get into the HR department. I thought that was a good place to start, right?
Wow.
That's where they hire people, right?
Yeah.
So,
it's pretty iconic, actually.
Yeah.
So how long were you in Hong Kong?
Hong Kong, I spent 3 years in Tokyo, about 9 or 10 in Hong Kong, and 3 in Singapore. So a lot of time in Asia. Love Asia. Love the growth story.
Yeah,
it's slowed back a bit now because of China controls on entrepreneurs, but it's still a huge opportunity for growth. What I'm most bullish on that note is like India. I wanted to go there initially instead of Hong Kong, but it's it's growing super fast.
Yeah. Well, is that where you met Nikita?
In
Hong Kong?
India? No, in Singapore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I went to India in '93 and was trying to chat some girls up in the country club there. And,
Did you pick up any of the language when you were there?
I didn't pick up any girls either.
No language, no girl.
Being a white male in '93 was not very popular with Indian brothers. So, but like the look stayed. So that's the reason why
And now it is. Now it's very popular.
Fell in love with Nikki. So, but I met her in Singapore. And
how did you meet?
The aggressive tactics again. That's pull trait for me. Yeah. So I don't know. Obviously, stunning looking girl, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we've known each other for a while, right? Like that's not a secret. I mean, and what I know about you is like, and we probably have this a little bit in common, is that we're kind of restless, right?
Yeah.
We can't stay in our lane for long enough for us to be a good enough employee. I get that feedback quite a lot. You're always coming up with new things, new ideas, looking for the next thing. I mean, you are one of the first people to even bring up AI before ChatGPT came about and took over the world. And you have this natural eye to just look not only for new opportunities as an entrepreneur yourself, but what I noticed about you is every single new venture that you work on, you actually work with other people. You put just as much effort in finding the right people to do it with, right? Like you're the president of Oobit, but you have an amazing team, right? In your past ventures as well, which have all been, you've also found success in other ventures as well. You had co-founders, you had other executives working with you. And so what can you tell us about your advice as an entrepreneur for people listening and just in general? Like, how do you define success when you go out and look for something new like Oobit?
Yeah, I think the probability of being a singular entrepreneur is very hard, right?
Right.
Yeah, find a nerd or an outgoing person that you can match with, and build, or 2 or 3 people. I mean, look, Google was built by 3 people, right? Yeah. Find that, or sorry, 2 people. But you find the yin to your yang, and look for an opportunity like as that, and make sure they're good people. I mean, make sure they really can do the job. I know the team at Oobit, like, they're amazing. I couldn't build any form of tech, but I can sell the solution and I can fund that solution. So that's my skill set. But like operationally, these guys are amazing, and so that's what I look for in terms of the opportunity. Honestly, right now we're in such a systemic change of I've been shouting at everybody use ChatGPT 4+, Claude, Perplexity. Like, this is game changing. And, I just read an article that GPT-5 coming out in Q4 is going to be like the equivalent of a PhD, right? That you can use. And so you don't even need to be a good entrepreneur. So you don't even need to have thought process anymore. You can literally ask ChatGPT, what are the thematics? You can go into SimilarWeb, like look up where, companies are having success, where you see traffic, and you can see this Google Trends. You can see that trend, right? I reckon 6 months from now, you'll just be able to go, I want to back this up. What is the thematic that's going to be trending, right? Show me charts that similarly look to, the bit before hypergrowth. And then you'll be able to get those things and jump on them. And then you got to find your yang, to match that. So I don't know. I think this is an incredible time to be an entrepreneur. I'm just investing in a business now that takes a picture of your face, videos you for 30 seconds, and then basically you can hand that to the AI. They then feed it with a syllabus, whether it's a PhD or whatever, right? A GCSE, A level, and then you can actually be teaching your kids that syllabus,
Wow.
So I think, that's on a tutoring level.
Yeah.
Every industry is getting so disrupted, and I'm not worried about jobs getting, destroyed.
I wanted to ask you about that, because what do you say to people that are like, AI, it's too much, ChatGPT is too foreign now, ChatGPT, what do you say to that there are people? Because I said this with Nikki on the previous podcast episode, that one of the reasons why I left my old job and came to Luna is because I know that this Web3 is the future, and I want to get with the times. You know what I mean? So what do you say to people that are kind of skeptical of Web3, AI, all of this emerging tech? Do you think if you're not going to jump on board and embrace it, you're going to be left behind? Or do you kind of see their perspective too?
Yeah, people your age.
I don't have time.
People your age.
Yeah, people my age.
Yeah.
The 30-year-old, come on, what are you talking about?
No, I mean, ask that same business owner that didn't embrace the internet in 1995, right? He doesn't exist anymore. So
Right.
You either jump on it or you don't, right? We haven't, you guys are all lucky, right? You're right at the start of this cycle. This is a big wave. And basically, you can jump on it. There's millions of different businesses that you guys can all create, right?
Yeah.
So jump on it, and it's always easier to ride a wave than to keep looking for or try and build one yourself. So jump on this cycle. In terms of Web3, I think that one's harder because AI is so easy, right? But everybody's going to paint their own picture of whatever thematic that they can jump on within Web3.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that's obvious to me right now is you have a look at stock markets, right? The US is number one. Biden,
by far.
Biden administration just made the big seven really rich.
Yeah.
Right? That's the truth of it, The small cap, medium cap market is on its knees, right? So Facebook, the Google, the Amazon really got rich out of this end of the space, right? And all the volumes are going to the US stock market. So if you look at the FTSE, you look at Canadian Stock Exchange, you look at Australian Stock Exchange, the volumes are down. So I think what we're looking at, and going on to this Web3, security tokens, nobody wants to talk about them. They've started to pick up this new narrative of real world assets. But I think on a 5 to 10 year basis, we're basically going to have the US stock markets, we're going to have Mumbai, or a national stock exchange in India, and then we're going to have China, Hong Kong as stock markets. The rest of them will just evaporate away, and basically you'll have security tokens or real world asset tokens. So I think this is going to be a massive thematic, because if you're a small cap, mid cap company, circa 100 million market cap to 5 billion market cap, right? It's hard to get attention, right? Outside of those big 7, big 100. But you can get attention by using AI, by using podcasts, by using all of this media.
By
so
using
you
a
can,
PR agency.
Yeah, using a PR agency who use the AI, But so then you'll be able to market not just to US investors or Canadian investors, and that's the problem when you've got a listed company on Canada or Australia, right? You're marketing to those investors. We can tell you, we've set up a brokerage account for Canada. It's a pain in the beep, right?
You can swear on this podcast.
You can swear.
We're okay with
So
that.
it's a pain in the ass, right? And so imagine that, where you've got a security token with the same economic benefits of a share class that's listed on Canada, but you can market now globally.
Yeah.
So it neutralizes the ability to, you're unlimited by 7.5 billion people.
Yeah.
With the security sector. So I think these real world assets are really going to, be a big thematic in the next 5 to 10 years, and we'll see the minor stock markets just not evaporate, but get smaller.
Do you know what? This is actually an interesting question. I thought about it, and not just specific with AI and Web3, but just in tech in general. For years, people have been like, oh, what are we going to do with the cashiers and the farmers? Like, they're all going to lose their jobs. But now we're seeing like AI come into play. We're always going to need farmers. Yeah. We're always going to need cashiers and people like to support. There's nothing we have that's close to replacing any of these people who basically put food in the table, for us at least. But we're seeing like lawyers and accountants and creative people lose their jobs and stuff like that with AI instead. Like the high earners, the high paying jobs, and doctors as well. Like I put my symptoms in ChatGPT the other day and it gave me like, I don't know, it's not medical advice, but it did a good job.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And so I find that
That's
interesting.
improving your intelligence. The
Yeah,
whole
it is.
world's getting smarter.
Yeah.
Right? I hate to say this, Chainlink. I did a panel with you guys the other day, and I wasn't completely okay with what you did, like in the sense of like I didn't know too much about it.
Yeah.
I ChatGPT'd it. I played it back to myself three times. Put a scenario in of the company that I was involved in. I was involved with Chainlink, and then I understood it completely, or I could talk about it. And then they congratulated me on my stage, saying, "Well done, you really understood." Yeah. It's like you even sold it for us the way it should be sold.
Yeah.
So but obviously I learned something about Chainlink at the same time. So like everybody's shooting. Going back to I've got 3 kids. I spend 150 grand a year on kids' school fees, and then I pay another 100 grand a year on tuition fees, right? The barrier to entry on that tuition once AI takes over is 0, right? You just throw the syllabus in, you create the avatar that you want to be, who's teaching it to your kids. Yeah. That improves intelligence. The world's gonna get so much smarter.
Do you know what website actually completely plummeted and I think is bankrupt now after ChatGPT took over? Chegg. I don't know if you've heard of Chegg. Yeah. Chegg is gone.
It's gone.
Yeah. Chegg is a website where they aggregated all the answers to a question in a textbook or an exam. Useless now. Yeah, it's gone. Yeah.
Remember Spark Notes?
Oh, yeah.
Duolingo's getting wasted because you're not going to learn that way. There's better ways to learn faster.
Philip, you're one of the busiest people that I know personally, and that's not a bad thing, right? But you come with a lot of interesting stories. Take us back to before you have the, president status of Oobit today and the director status that you have today with so many other companies as well. What were some times maybe in Hong Kong or India or wherever you are in the world, you also go to America a couple times a year. Take us to a time where it really felt like it was dire. You took up too much, or when maybe SBF happened, right? Like FTX crashed, everyone kind of had that sense of dread. Was there a moment where you really thought like everything that you've put into working on a project? Because one thing I admire about you working on a project, even if it's with other people, you give it your all, right? Yeah. It's not like you just dip your toes in something and you forget about it 6 months down the line. You give it your all. Was there a time where that risk was too heavy?
Yeah, so investment banking for 20 years, right? It's so easy. All these people complain about getting a couple of $1 million a year and like how they could do better somewhere else. It's absolute bullshit, right? So getting off the breast of an investment bank salary and bonus was really harsh because I took an entrepreneurial light. I went into a M&A deal with a friend of mine where we were trying to buy a coal asset for about $5 billion, right? We come up with the money. It was like literally, how does a $5 billion deal get done, right? You get a whiteboard out. You go, this is the equity component, this is the debt component, right? We thought the company was a seller, that had the asset. We put all the term sheet together, collect the money. Please, Yusuf, can you put in $2 billion? My friend here, can you put in $3 billion? It was a big amount, right? We got to the final number and we were like, presenting it to the board, and then they just changed their mind. They said, we're not sellers anymore. So we've done all the work, and those like big M&A deals really they're obviously a huge opportunity, but they come with high risk. So you can do 3, 6 months, 6 to 12 months of work to get to the game, and you get a zero prize at the end of it. And there's no like get out of jail. So that was a pretty low point, plus I was, going through divorce at the same time. So I was like, this is a lottery ticket, let's go for it. But, I think lesson learned is like, really think about the bets that you want to make.
Yeah.
You've got so much access to research, right? Is the, going back to like startup land, like, is it really a problem? Just because you and your mum and your brothers like it or whatever, right? Is it really a problem that the world needs solving,
You're talking about like if an entrepreneur is coming up with a solution.
Yeah.
You're saying, is it really a problem, what you're doing?
Solve a big problem, right? And think about the risk reward, also, companies like, you can get all this, right? You can put it into ChatGPT, where's the maximum premium takeout on a company? If you get 5 times revenue, in this industry, can you get 20 or 50 times? I mean, like Nvidia's trading on 100 times of revenue or something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You can get a massive premium. So then that makes sense to go into that, right?
Yeah.
Where are we in the cycle, right? How fast can we get to market? What's the addressable market like,
Yeah.
So I think like lesson learned, really think about what problem you're solving.
I actually saw that post from you today. Something like 43% of startups fail because they're not actually solving a problem.
Yeah.
They're not
That's the
actually
number one
providing any
problem,
value.
right?
Yeah. That's the number one
Not
problem.
solving
Yeah.
a problem.
Yeah.
And you see it. People go, oh, I've got this really good idea, or my friend's family like it. They're a great salesman.
Yeah.
But, and there's so many pieces of like being an entrepreneur that, you've got risk, like, like growing users for this, right?
Yeah.
How do we grow users? Look at the solutions. But you can cheat now. I hate to keep going about it.
Is it NVIDIA or NVIDIA? Because I say NVIDIA, but I hear people say NVIDIA. You just said
Listen,
NVIDIA.
you bought the stock at fucking $3 a share. You can pronounce it however you want,
Yeah,
right?
fair.
Yeah.
You can call it whatever. I think like what was the every employee, 45% of the employees that got stock options are worth over $25 million or something crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. So NVIDIA is worth something like $3.7 trillion right now in market cap or something like that. And they have 30,000 employees. So it's about $150 million worth of company equity that exists per employee they have.
Wow.
It's crazy.
I wanted to ask, is there like a moment you could say that defined your entrepreneurship journey?
Yeah.
Like, is there one distinct moment you can think of?
Like I think everybody talks about being an entrepreneur, right? You can be an entrepreneur, right?
Facts.
So at an investment bank, I was an entrepreneur. I was always trying to make $1 million, right? I was like young guy, right? I'm gonna make $1 million, right? You work so bloody hard to get $1 million, right? And then honestly, like I was on the phone. I remember where I was standing. It was 2004 September. Right, I was walking along the street. Somebody called me. We did this deal, and I got $1 million in my account. Not that day, but like 5 days later, I made like a lot of money for the firm, and my payout was $1 million.
Wow.
So that, like, I was like, damn. Like, so you don't actually have to be an entrepreneur. You can be an intrapreneur within a company, right? Investment bank, they're mercenary, right? You make money, you get paid. That's it, And I think most firms are pretty like that. If you can make good money for the firm, you're always going to get paid the best, like more than the CEO, more than sometimes shareholders, right? Was
that your first million?
It was, yeah. That's the reason why it was such a big moment.
Yeah, it's like the defining moment for you.
Yeah. So, and then you realize how like easy it is. Obviously, it's still hard.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
but like you're like, damn.
Do you kind of define like passion? Like, what would you say your passion is in life? And do you think you practice your passion every day?
Yeah, I try to. I mean, doing good, being a nice person, like is.
That's your passion. That's
no,
a good
I mean, like
passion.
no, like try and be a good person. I think it really does make what is it? A better life for you, and then you're more positive, isn't it? So, I think trying to solve what I've realized, your passion's going to change the whole time. Right now it's trying to solve a problem and scale. Those are my two passions. So, whatever the industry is, it doesn't really matter so much. Is there a problem? Can we scale it? And let's try and build and scale this company. So that's, passions change.
That's your passion change, yeah.
Yeah.
You're on a dating website, passions change.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I want to go back to a subject that you like talking about. You mentioned
Like what? Oh,
that
dating.
that your priority
Yeah.
is finding the right people to work with.
Yeah.
And on the subject of finding the right people, what's the story of you meeting Nikki? Because we asked the question
Yes,
to
we
Nikki
did.
last time, but we want to hear it from you.
The truth.
Yeah, the truth.
I mean,
the
like,
truth.
you know,
Yeah.
like, we met at F1. A friend of mine was trying to date her. Was it, it didn't work out.
Okay.
They didn't date, but then Nikki walked past me 6 months later. I was like, I'm done, right? That's it. So I found out my friend. I said, if you don't try and, are you still interested in this chick? He's like, no, we're all friends, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, you got 2 fucking weeks if you don't. If you are interested, he's like, dude, like, no, like, all good, blah, blah, blah. But he had a lot of doubt in me. Meanwhile, I'm like Dave Goggin, Tony Robbins every morning running like, Sylvester Stallone and da-da-da. And I'm like focused. And I was like, yeah, that clock's ticking, buddy.
Yeah.
And, but then it was like American Sniper for a 1.5 mile out shot. I was like focused on the prize, like nothing's getting in the way here, right?
Yeah.
So,
And I'll say, I told Nikki this last time. One of my favorite weddings I've ever
It was so
attended.
good.
You look good in an Indian outfit, by the way.
thanks, buddy.
Yeah,
You too.
it was great. And I know the friend you were talking. He was actually went up on the last night to say a speech about.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I don't know. You definitely can fall in love on the spot. That's what happened to me.
Yeah.
Aww,
Wow.
I love his stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
I have a question though. So
Yeah.
you're both, because I asked Nikki this. So you're both entrepreneurs.
Yep.
And do you think, like, because I was having this conversation with Nikki and even my husband, who is an entrepreneur, and I find that when you're an entrepreneur, you're quite passionate. That's why I kind of asked what your passion is.
Yeah.
Because you're quite passionate about whatever you're investing in, whatever you're believing in, whatever you're kind of either investing in, advising, whatever it is that you're doing. And some of that comes with like living and breathing the business that you are either owning or investing in. Do you think that there can be challenges with that? And how do you kind of navigate that when you're both entrepreneurs
That's a good
in a
point.
relationship?
Yeah, I can't answer really very well. But besides the fact that I don't know, we're having fun and it's working, right? And she might say different, but like I'm as passionate about her success as she is about mine. So I don't know, like you have to be together and sing from the same hymn sheet, I think is the expression, right? You have to have the same vision, and obviously priorities change as you have
'Cause people
family and stuff
change,
like
yeah.
that. Like maybe you have a plan laid for Nikki and she doesn't even know about it. Because that's bad to say that, but like I don't know. I think she has a lot of room to grow, and I'd love to help it. And I want nothing besides to just help her. That's it.
Born in the UK, Hong Kong, Singapore, India, like
USA.
USA. So many countries, and you pretty much travel like 100 days a year, probably more than that. Why do you guys choose Dubai to like?
Look, I mean, it's really simple, right? I think Dubai doesn't have any political, religion, views. You come here, you do business. You don't talk about sort of anything sort of outside of that, and focus on building a good family and a good business, right? And the laws here are really amazing. I mean, like where in the rest of the world, maybe America, but like if you set up a business, you make $2 billion out of it, right? And you sell that business. The first person that's going to shout about it, Sheikh Maktoum. He's gonna say, you were the guy. We give you.
They give credit.
Yeah. They're like so. Dubai is like number one. It's an unbelievable opportunity, and I say this because we just changed governments today in the UK to,
I heard about
I mean,
that.
maybe it's a stable government. I wish the UK very much the best, but they're higher tax and more regulation. So I don't know how that works out. But like, if you're an entrepreneur and like outside of America, because those guys have to pay tax, you should come to Dubai. We've got very progressive regulation. Where else? Sorry. Also, you can hire staff, right? It doesn't matter whether you're a PhD from, Uzbekistan or a PhD or a, university grad from Australia or England or America, right? You can hire them all, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you can't do that in Europe, you can't do that in the US, you certainly can't do it in Silicon Valley, right?
Just because like the visa, like it's so hard to hire.
So we got 48 visas or 49 visas day one. You set up your company and then you're hiring people. Don't even think they need visas to get employed, right? You have to process them. So, and then they've got all these incentive programs. We've got a very low tax / no tax environment on salaries. the ecosystem in the Middle East is booming, it's like Saudi, UAE, they're all growing. And then we've got India growing at, 8% with 1.5 billion people plus NRIs, right? So like this is the center of the world, I feel, is like, for funding, legislation of, companies and, hiring staff and scaling staff is the Middle East. And then you've got all the hyper growth around you, Africa, India, and everybody comes through town as well. The other thing about Dubai is like Silicon Valley comes here for money, you know, big European companies, Chinese companies, they come here for money as well. So if you're just standing around, you're meeting incredible tier one entrepreneurs are coming here for funding. So your access to meeting amazing people, getting access to the conference scene here is insane. So I strongly suggest anybody, if they're setting up a new business, this is going to be, it's growing super fast. I would say the VC system is still small, but, 5 to 10 years, this will be as big as Sand Hill, not as big, but like maybe 70% of the size as, Silicon Valley.
And it is a melting pot. I mean, you're exposed to so many different nationalities and cultures and religions, and you're all kind of living and breathing in an ecosystem. And because the country is so young, I mean, we both grew up here, but because the country's so young, I think we can both speak that we have seen the progress and how much. I mean, is the 55-year-old country?
Yeah, but this building wasn't here not that long ago. Like
Even
this whole
building,
street, like
street, it was just Hard Rock Cafe was the end of Dubai. Remember, like back in the day. So I mean, the way it's progressed, I mean, this is the place to be. And I think, especially when it comes to Web3 and emerging technologies, like this is the place to be. I mean, look at the initiatives that the government puts out on a daily basis. There was a gaming initiative that was came out like a month ago, in Saudi Arabia now is booming. So no, I definitely agree with you.
Something that you and I probably don't agree on much is you love meme coins.
Oh yeah.
Talk us through a little bit about your experience with meme coins. I mean, do you have any like crazy wins or crazy nightmarish crashes or?
Well, I mean, we're going through it now.
We are.
But, I mean, like meme coins, I don't know. I love the principle of it. NFT, I don't get JPEG monkeys collectibles, right?
Right.
One person can buy that stuff, right? Whereas meme coins, everybody can trade in and out of it all day. But the core principle of like what I love about meme coins is obviously, you build community, and community is everything to any business, right? If you don't have a community, so you can create these incredible, like we've seen with Notcoin, they've 20 million, 50 million users, whatever the crazy amount they are, by tapping on your phone. Now we're doing Hamster, right? They've blown all records. They're being Mr. Beast videos. So they're using that community to do actions within watching a hamster read news every day or retweeting it or tapping, right? Now imagine this, right? You're a startup business, right? You built a product, but then you've got to go on a massive user acquisition spree, right? Imagine this. You've built a massive community following a hamster. You got 27, 30 million people following that hamster. You could sell t-shirts, you could sell cups of tea, you could sell trainers, whatever the hell, packages you want, right?
Yeah.
You've got the community. And I think we haven't seen the full outcome and success of a meme coin yet. Like Shiba started, right? They're doing a layer 3, and they've already got a business, right? They launched something, they've got a business because there's like, 20 million wallet holders of Sheep.
Yeah. Do you know what? The reason why I don't like that sector overall, it's not that I don't like it. It's just that the majority of the creators of these coins come with the wrong intention. Like I mean, the big ones like Notcoin and Shiba and stuff like that, that might be, very community driven, very decentralized and stuff like that. But for the most part, there's a lot of weird things happening when you get to that side of crypto.
Beware, right? It's not for orphans and widows.
Yeah. And also, really, I think you just have a stronger mindset than I do, because that would stress me out if I put money in something that volatile. I mean, I'm a Bitcoin maxi, right? So
I have to admit, I'm not a big like I like what I like, but like Nikki's a degenerate gambler. And the correlation between like meme coin investors and gambling is like 100%.
Yeah.
Like I've seen it. Like she likes to bet on big casino, and that same person that likes to punt Pepe will gamble on big casino or whatever.
but she has fun with it, right?
Yeah,
Like,
she
it's
does.
just-
She
yeah.
loves it. Yeah.
Do you ever dabble in roulette or in
No, I can't
casinos?
say. I punt these meme coins. I like MAGA. I
Right.
not
Yeah.
all of them, you know. But I like the principle of like doing something bigger for the greater good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that way they're solving a problem.
Yeah.
You got your community first. You got your audience first.
It's so crazy because we work at a PR and marketing agency, and we work so hard for like clients who have like a value proposition,
Yeah.
who do a lot of things with AI and so many cool, interesting things, and we get results. But then you see some guy who comes out with not coin, for example. They have like a blank white paper.
Mm-hmm.
They actually don't have anything. It's just a joke, and they get like way more traction than any of our clients. So, but it is a learning curve.
It is a learning
It does
curve,
teach us a
yes.
lot because we have to just adapt and learn. And I mean, that's how Nikki has
Yeah.
has
I
gone
think if
this
you look,
far.
I looked at MAGA just to, you know, Nick had such a big position in MAGA, and I was like looking at it, and basically there's nothing to it, and it's like nothing to a lot of these
Nothing,
coins,
yeah.
Yeah.
right? And like, yeah, like it charges a 1% sales tax every time somebody trades. They donate money to I don't know, veterans, slavery. And one other charity, and 10% has been given to Trump's wallet. But there's nothing in it
course.
besides that, right? He's not going to sell it, right? If you sell it, it's
Yeah.
a collapse, right? But people want to, like, every time he's on stage, you know, shouting against Biden, or, you know, like this thing goes up or down, right? And the same with Biden's coin, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, so I don't know, like, yeah, can you imagine creating, I don't know, create a business with no revenue? But I think there are ones out there, you know, that will either pivot to a layer 2, 3, you know, create a business around it of some sort.
Kind of like
And those are the
GameStop
ones you got to play.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm interested to see, like, I mean, we just saw the first presidential debate. I don't want to get too much into politics, but do you think, both of you, I'm asking both of you, but why I'm
Okay.
smiling to know,
Yeah.
is that when politics, especially in the U.S., are up and down, sentiment is up and down, do you both agree that you see a direct correlation in the crypto market?
Do you want to go first?
You go first.
I think there is a correlation. Oh, well, not I think. There is a correlation because...
I think we just saw it right now.
Yeah, we just saw it right now.
2 weeks ago. Ago.
The thing is with crypto is say, for example, Bitcoin or any sort of cryptocurrency, the value of that crypto, no matter what anybody says, is just the people's imposition of value.
Totally.
It's kind of like the price of a Louis Vuitton bag. Can you justify that this handbag costs 5 figures? No, but it's just well, LVMH is number 2 company in all of Europe.
Yeah.
So even with Bitcoin, even with Ethereum, but that's not to discount crypto. That's how cash works. The value of our cash is just the value that we impose as a society on the cash, right? That's why the dollar is worth more or less than other currencies. I'm digressing.
Okay, I'm with you.
So the value of crypto is the value of everything, right? Like the hype that crypto gets, the government friendliness outlook for crypto. And so this week, we're recording this. It's not going to be out anytime soon. July 5th, Bitcoin's around $53,000. So it dipped quite a lot because we had news today of Germany not knowing what to do with their crypto reserves that they took from other crypto companies and seized it. And then Mt. Gox, who I did a video on another channel, which you should watch. Like basically offloading $8 or $9 billion worth of Bitcoin. And then with the presidential elections, we have 2 presidents who kind of, one's like super pro crypto, which is a signal for government and regulation friendliness, which means all these crypto businesses would be able to actually do business without that, weight of the SEC doesn't like you, Gary Gensler, right? Like he's not a good crypto fan, or the CFTC or whatever the case may be. They'll just ease up the regulations, and people in America, and America is the biggest economy in the world, so it's a signal for the rest of the world, will be able to deal with Bitcoin and the millions of other tokens as well, without worrying to pay fines or anything like that. And I think just that sentiment, whether it goes up or down, does have a very direct correlation in the value of Bitcoin. At the end of the day, Bitcoin is money. If you're not legally allowed to use this money in a jurisdiction, that affects its value.
Yeah. Philip, what do you think?
Yeah, I think like interest rates are more geared to crypto prices actually. So we thought we were going to have 3 interest rate cuts this year in the US. Like it probably looks like it's going to be 2. So otherwise we would have been at 100,000. So obviously demand and supply being Mt. Gox and the German government unloading Bitcoin today. But basically, like obviously the Republicans, they're less regulation, lower tax, right? That's good for business, right? That's good for crypto, right? Gensler's been a real pain in the butt for everybody under Biden. We've got more tax and we've got more regulation, right? And, but like crypto is not friendly of governments, right? But it's like, the guy that doesn't want to use AI right now. This shit's moving, right? You either jump on it or not. But I think the ability to disrupt, the banking systems and private banks and all of this sort of stuff, that probably throw a lot of money into lobbying, right? Of course they don't want to embrace change. It's so stupid. But think about the positives, countries that, have a weak currency and like, difficult situations, they're the human capital, which is the greatest export of any country, can now earn money, So, if you're a refugee and you have got no money, you can get a laptop pretty easily, right? And as long as you can get internet, now you can earn money in US dollars, get it in Tether, and now you're spending it and you're supplying food to your family, right? So I think, whereas, you got to go through the banking system, blah, 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 right? No way, right? So I think remote working is like just such an amazing thing. We need, payment rails for that, right? Tether's done an amazing job because, it totally disrupts the banking system, Everybody gets overexcited about Tether in the US, and Tether's not used in the US. They don't need it, right? Banking system works, right?
Yeah.
But outside of the US, you need a currency geared to the US dollar. I don't buy the whole BRICS either. I'm not big faith in Putin or Xi running my money.
Yeah.
So I'm still going to revert to the US dollar.
Yeah. What do you think about the U.S. politics right now? You brought it up, so
no, I know. Well, just because I am still new to this world, it's been a couple months, only 2 months. But from even before I even joined Luna, I would always see that whenever a presidential debate happened, forget even the U.S. in the world, I would always see the crypto market going down. Whenever this is kind of like something that I've always acknowledged and seen.
I can't remember the last time, but it's probably right. Yeah.
I think it was last year.
Last presidential debate.
Oh, but last presidential debate. No, that was 4 years ago, 3 years ago. But I've always known that, from living in the U.S., which I did for 5 years, and I had left in like 2018, 2019 when crypto was kind of when 2016, 2017 when it was like kind of the buzzword. I remember at my master's program in DC, they were saying like crypto's the devil. You guys don't buy into it. And I did a master's in strategic communications. They were like, no, we focus on like the Web 2, and then coming now 7 years later, where we do PR and marketing for Web 3, is kind of actually incredible. But I do see that, just seeing last week alone from this presidential debate and how much it was like a hot topic, and then correlating it with the market, I can see that there is a direct correlation.
I want to raise a point. I want to see where your thoughts on this, maybe in whatever time we have left. I always think that the president of the United States, fairly powerful person, but there are maybe a handful. I might need a tinfoil hat for what I'm saying this, but there are a few handful of people that have a lot more influence over markets, at least. Like, for example, Gary Gensler and Jerome Powell. These two guys alone have way more power of an influence over the cash that we have, whether it's dollars or not. It has an influence of the cash that we have in our banks or in our pockets or whatever the case. And they could essentially control how much, and they did over the last 4 years when injecting $6 trillion, is it, since 2020 in the economy. They control they basically control valuations of markets and how much your money is worth. So, Trump and Biden, they do have some sort of influence over the value of Bitcoin. But Gensler, Powell, Larry Fink from BlackRock, and the guys who are basically the top 100 guys who basically control half the GDP of the U.S., those are the guys that have the real influence.
Yeah.
And so those are the guys that we need to watch out for. They're not necessarily bad guys, but they do have influence. What do you think? You know a lot of these guys.
I don't know. I wish I did.
Yeah.
No, I mean, SEC is just like micro to crypto, right? I don't think it has any sort of major influence over stock markets or particular companies. I mean, Jerome Powell, obviously, right? You know, he's the guy who has the print or non-print, on the buttons, So, obviously, presidents are meant to be removed from that treasury function because they just print cash and get votes and be the most popular person in the world. They kind of do that already, though. But, I mean, like, you want to talk the powers be. I don't get why people always talk about BlackRock. I mean, BlackRock invest, right?
Yeah.
They can spend some money on lobbying here and there, but I think the three people in Biden's room right now that nobody's ever even heard of that are giving him advice. Who are those people? So it's the people that we don't know about that you have to worry about, not necessarily the ones on the microphone.
That's a good statement to make. I agree with that.
Yeah. Conspiracy
theory.
That's how we get the views.
I know,
Thank
right?
you all in podcast for that one.
Exactly. Well, thank you, Philip, for coming
Thank you
on the
so
podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. We enjoyed it. We got to know you a little bit more and got to understand your story. It's quite inspiring. Guys, don't forget to subscribe, like, and follow, and subscribe on all podcasting platforms. We're on Rami, Spotify, Apple, SoundCloud, YouTube, wherever you get your podcast from. Anything you want to end off with, Yusuf?
Yeah, let us know who you'd like to see next.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a good one, yeah.
We have good access here.
We do have access.
Dubai.
Yeah, we do. Thank you, guys. See you
Thank
next
you.
month. Bye.